welcome back. It's 2024. It's a brand new year and I need a reset really, really badly. I ate so much pie, y'all. I ate so many carbs, bread, pasta, all of it. Salt, especially the hors d'oeuvres and the snacks and I went crazy. Like, I way overindulged. I had chocolate, so much chocolate. My mom sent me like a huge box of Godiva chocolates, a box of Godiva truffles. I ate them all. I ate so much food, so much pie, y'all. Way too much. Like, I ate so much sugar. I feel that the structural integrity of my skin is compromised. Like, I can feel it. It's not as bouncy as it usually is. I am not perfect. By any means, I am not perfect. I love a good pasta, y'all. Macaroni and cheese. Oh, I make really good macaroni and cheese, I should tell you that. I make a roux. It's good. It's real good. My mother-in-law, she makes bomb macaroni and cheese. She has that special 50s secret, you know. Just put a can of Campbell's in it. Everything's creamier with Campbell's, but I'm serious, y'all. I've eaten way too much food. I don't know what happened to me, but I broke out. My skin broke out. I looked a mess. I actually looked like I can tell in my skin that I look like I've aged a little bit. Like, that's how bad I ate. And I did that from Halloween on. Like, I was not being good this year, y'all, at all. I need a reset. And if anybody is with me, if you need a reset, this is for you, because I'm doing a special series, a reset diet 2024. We are resetting everything, y'all. I'm getting married in June. I cannot be living on macaroni and cheese and chocolate, okay? I gotta get the sugar out of my diet. I gotta get the carbs out of my diet. I gotta get back to where I need to be. I gotta start my workout routine all over again, because I let that slip too over the holidays. I was off for 2 weeks and I loved every minute of it. But I did have a family emergency right before that, so I feel like that kind of added to it. So this is it. This is our reset. We are doing this together. Remember, this channel is all about glowing up, transformative skincare, flawless makeup, and a lifestyle to match. If that resonates with you, hit subscribe. Don't forget to ring the notification bell. I want you to know when I post future videos. So we're doing a reset this year. Right now, with me, we are doing it. I'm gonna do a whole video log series where I show you what I'm eating in a day and how I go about my day, working out, etc. I'm gonna bring it all to you. Starting with this video, this is the reset video. Number one rule for this reset diet is that I'm going to make sure that I get my workouts in every single morning, 5 days a week. So I usually work out Monday through Friday. It's easier for me. I'm not really a huge fan of working out on Saturdays and Sundays, though I try to take advantage of some of the Saturday hours when it's nice outside. Like, I'll go for a hike with my dog and my fiance. So really 20 to 25 minutes of sustained cardiovascular work, but not the kind that you leave you breathless. Okay, this is the one where you can hold a conversation. It's just a nice, you know, moderate paced physical activity, 20 to 25 minutes. And then I like to do about 20 to 25 minutes of resistance training. So that resistance training can be in the form of body weight resistance, so yoga. You could even throw in, you know, some rowing, weightlifting. I really just kind of go with what I want to do that day. So like, I might wake up and be like, ooh, I want to do 25 minutes of dance today. So I'll do a little dance, and usually I'll just throw a video on YouTube or something, 25 minutes of dance, and I'll just follow along. I do have some workout videos that I like. I like a belly dancing workout video. It's super fun, but it's so important to keep muscle, especially at our age. So I'm 47. And at 47, it's so important to try to maintain that muscle. So 20 minutes of cardio followed by 20 minutes of resistance training is like the perfect combo, where I keep it really low impact. Like I said, at 47, I'm not where I was in my 30s. That's when I was doing all the hardcore working out and all of that. I'm just not there. That's not what I want to do with my time and my energy. And I really want to focus on getting the most out of my workouts in the least amount of time possible. There's this book on exercise. This was years ago that I read it. It's called Spark. And I mean, my God, he talks about the science behind exercise and what kind of exercise you want to get. And basically he says you should be doing dance, you should be doing yoga, you should be doing resistance training, and you should be doing light cardio 5 times a week. There's a lot of science behind it. Read Spark if you really want to know more about this stuff. And if you're not exercising, y'all, you really need to be exercising, because exercising is amazing for youthfulness, like for keeping the skin looking young. So not only does it increase blood flow to your skin, it tightens the skin, believe it or not. It's been shown to increase collagen and elastin production in the skin, as well as in the muscle fiber tissues themselves. And so it does help with that as well. It also lengthens your telomeres, which those are the little feet on the ends of your chromosomes, and those feet are basically longer when you're young, right? And as you get older, they begin to short. So you want to be making sure that you get exercise at least 3 to 5 times a week. The second thing that I'm going to do is I'm only going to be having my morning cup of coffee. So usually I start the day with a giant glass of water. So I'm still gonna do that. And then I'm gonna have a little bit of coffee, and then I'm going to work out. And so after my workout, then I'm going to switch to green tea. I have not been, this whole vacation, I have not been drinking my tea, which has my flavonoids in it and so good for you. So that's what I'm going to start doing to make sure that I get my green tea in. I've been drinking way too much caffeine, too much coffee basically. And when I have coffee, I have creamer. So because I have creamer, I'm going to stop drinking my coffee in the morning. Completely just stop it, except for a little bit before I work out. But I have to have that caffeine before I work out, or I'm useless when I work out. But I am going to be drinking my coffee black, because I have decided that I am going to be going back to my intermittent fasting. I'm not going to do a super large fasting window, not eat until 10 a.m. and I'm going to stop eating at 7 p.m. This will help lower my blood glucose levels. Please don't feel like you have to intermittent fast. You can follow this protocol without intermittent fasting and you'll be totally fine. So I am going to do a type of intermittent fasting. One of the things about intermittent fasting is it helps lower your blood glucose levels. So it does help control things like cravings. It also helps increase your leptin response in your body, meaning you get the signaling that you're hungry much more easily after a fasted state. So it also helps you become more sensitive to leptin, which is super important when it comes to like your fullness, because that's the hormone that tells your body, I'm full, I'm done eating now. And I find that especially when I come off of the holidays, right, where I've overindulged, I've lost a lot of my ability to understand or respond or listen to my leptin hormone. And a part of that is that when you eat a lot of sugar or a lot of glucose, your body, which normally releases leptin, right, becomes less responsive to leptin. So one of the things that fasting does is it kind of helps reset that. I've never been a huge breakfast eater, so it fits really well into my lifestyle. I'm kind of rushed in the morning. And I don't really even think about eating usually until 10 or 10:30. And I feel like I feel better when I fast. And it does a lot of things for your body. It lengthens your telomeres. Big bonus, right? Remember those telomeres I was talking about? It lengthens those. It also helps control your blood sugar. It reduces liver fat, which is really, really important, because the more fat that you have on your liver, the more metabolic dysfunction you have. So even if you don't intermittent fast, do not eat before you go to bed. And don't eat in the middle of the night. That is just asking for trouble. I'm going to make sure to follow that protocol. I'm going to eat lots of fruits and vegetables, mainly some lean meat, maybe some eggs, some dairy, but it's going to be mainly fruits and vegetables. The reason why I like to eat lots of fruits and vegetables is I feel like you can get more vitamins and nutrients and minerals from vegetables than you can from, you know, the other kinds of foods that you eat. So I feel like eating lots of fruits and vegetables is the ideal way to eat, especially like the darker vegetables, like leafy greens, like your dark leafy greens, like your collard greens and your mustard greens and your kale and your Swiss chard. Those dark leafy greens and your arugula, things like that are going to be really good for your body because they contain a ton of phytonutrients. And anything purple. So I'm a big proponent of like purple sweet potatoes, and those are my favorite because they have so many phytonutrients in them. So purple sweet potatoes, blueberries, anything that's a dark red, like cherries, all of those like contain tons of polyphenols and nutrients that are going to help stave off cancer. They're going to help kill free radicals. They're going to reduce the inflammation in your body. Now, I'm not anti-grain. Okay, I'm not anti-grain, I'm not anti-wheat. Like, I'm not gluten-free. So let me explain why I'm not gluten-free and in what areas I'm not gluten-free, because I've done a lot of, this is actually one area. So food and nutrition is one area that I've done a ton of research in. I'm not anti-grain. I eat vegetarian at home because my fiance is vegetarian. Okay, so like when I make meals, I don't make meat at home unless it's like wild boar. I'll make that. I'll make fish, things like that. So my fiance will eat fish. He'll eat like wild boar. He'll eat wild game, but he will not eat, you know, meat that's been processed in a processing plant in the US. He just won't touch it. That's the way we cook. Like it's wild fish or wild game only. So if I do eat meat, I usually stick to 100% grass-fed restorative farming practices. That's the kind of beef I'll eat. For chicken, it's got to be pasture raised, free range, restorative farming practices for the chicken. Okay, so those are the only kinds of meats I'll eat. I can go into the whole profile behind the meat. If we look at grass-fed beef, right? Grass-fed beef actually contains more omega-3s than the grain-fed beef. So it's higher in omega-3, it's lower in omega-6. So your grain-fed beef, that's what you get from the supermarket, that's your standard beef, that's going to be higher in omega-6s, which actually leads to more inflammation in the body. Grass-fed beef also contains more carotenoid. These are the things that your body processes into vitamin A and things like that. Grass-fed beef contains higher vitamin B counts, vitamin B12, vitamin B3, contains more vitamin B6, vitamin E. So all of those things are more nutrient rich in grass-fed beef. And we can see if we look at grass-fed beef just in comparison to your regular old supermarket store beef, it's just not as high quality. It doesn't contain all of the vitamins, minerals, nutrients, unless it's supplemented in their food. So they can feed, you know, grain-fed cows, you know, more omega-3s, and they'll have a little bit better omega-3 profile in their meat, but it's still not to the level of grass-fed. So if you are a big meat eater and you want to throw meat into the mix, then I would definitely make sure that you lean more towards your grass-fed meat. And I wouldn't eat red meat more than once or twice a week. So what about bread, and why don't I have a problem with bread? So let me go back to bread, because I do believe that our grains are not a problem. So that's why I'm not 100% gluten-free. I don't believe that grains are the culprit. I believe that the processing is what is the culprit. Okay, I believe that our modern Western diets are highly processed foods. And processed foods are the worst foods that you can put in your body. So let me say that again. Processed foods are the worst foods that you can put into your body. They do nothing for your health and everything for your waistline. They're just terrible. So that being said, I'm not going to eat any fast food, and I'm not going to eat anything with more than 2 ingredients, 3 ingredients. That's it. Like, my peanut butter literally is peanuts. That's it. It's like roasted peanuts ground. That's it. It's 1 ingredient. That's what's in my peanut butter. 1 ingredient. And it's so good, y'all. So good. But it literally has 1 ingredient. So I don't believe in things with ingredients. Okay, so if you pick up a loaf of bread from your grocery store, turn it over, how many ingredients do you see? Are there more than 3? It's just literally junk. It's bad for you. Why do I say that? Because one of the things that we do when we, so take bread, for instance. When we process bread, right? In order to make that bread have a longer shelf life, we process the wheat kernel itself. And that wheat kernel is then stripped of the bran and the germ of the wheat. So those are the most vital nutrient sources in that wheat. But the reason why it has to be stripped of that is because it doesn't have a shelf life if that wheat germ or bran is in there. So the bran is like the outer shell, and the germ is actually like the kernel of that contains that essential omega-3 oil, and vitamin E is in that kernel. And because it's an oil, it goes rancid. So one of the ways that manufacturers dealt with this was by stripping that grain out. And when they take that out, they take out a lot of those nutrients. They take out the vitamins, the minerals, the vitamin E, the omega-3s, all of the things that your body actually needs, and the fiber that slows down the absorption process in your body is all taken out. So no wonder people are suffering from gluten allergies out the wazoo. They have all the inflammation from bread and none of the fix-it, okay? Because that wheat germ is what fixes that inflammation, because it contains that omega-3, that anti-inflammatory stuff. It contains that vitamin E, anti-inflammatory. It contains all of the minerals and the nutrients that are in that bread is in that kernel. So unless you're making your own bread and adding that wheat germ back into your bread, you're essentially not eating anything of quality when you're eating bread. Okay, that's why bread's so bad for us. But for anybody else who's not celiac, you don't have a problem digesting it. It's just that it's not good for you and will lead to more inflammation. So that is essentially why I'm not a huge proponent of bread. Same thing with white rice. White rice, I'm not against rice. I just don't think that in the current state that we get it, which is our white rice, which is a short kernel, it's stripped of all its nutrients, all of that, that's not a good way. So I only eat wild rice. So like black rice, things like that, that are like, that's darker, nuttier. It's so good. It's a little harder, but it's very delicious, and it has tons of vitamins and nutrients and phytonutrients in it that's not contained in your stripped down, watered down white rice. Barley, I'm a fan of barley. Quinoa, I'm a fan of quinoa. I'm a fan of grains when they're in their natural state. So I make my own tortillas, and I get masa, and I get heirloom masa that is made in the same way that masa has been made for hundreds and thousands of years in South America. So they actually grind it by hand. So it's expensive. It's a little bit more expensive, but I do believe that many of the problems with our food system today are really problems with the way we manufacture it. So I'm all about going back to the roots of like how we used to make things. And I'm a proponent of whole foods. So I don't like diet foods at all. I prefer whole foods. If I want an egg, I want to eat an egg, but I want it to be a restorative farm, you know, farm raised, pasture raised egg that is golden. I say golden, orange, right? Because that shows that it's super rich in omega-3s, and it has so many phytonutrients and just minerals and vitamins and all kinds of stuff in that egg. So that's my general rule, is that your food needs to not have a bunch of ingredients. And if it does have a bunch of ingredients, you need to be making it yourself. I think it was Michael Pollan who once said that if you, every time you wanted an apple pie, you had to, you know, get out the flour and the butter, and you had to make the crust from scratch, and then you had to peel the apples, and you had to core them, and then you had to mix them with the sugar and the spices, and then you had to let those marinate, and then you had to basically, you know, make sure the pie crust turned out well, and then you had to, you know, keep it refrigerated, then take it back out, and then put the stuff in the pie, and then make the pie. It's a day-long process, y'all. I know, because I've made some pies, right? And when I make my pies and tarts, I like to make them from scratch. And Michael Pollan said, if you do this, you're gonna eat a lot less pie. Because pie is so readily available at the grocery. Like, we can pretty much go to the grocery store and get anything we want, right? Food is abundant, it's available. We can eat all the packaged food we want. We can have as much of it as we want. There's no work involved in it. But if you were to make a pie every time you wanted pie, you'd probably not eat very much pie at all. So think of food like that. So if you have a food that's more than a certain amount of ingredients, you need to be making it yourself. Big long spiel to basically say, don't eat things with ingredients. You need to be making sure your food doesn't have ingredients in it. If it has ingredients in it, it's like, you want your food to be whole form. So that's kind of what I'm going for, is I want more whole foods. So I am gonna be incorporating a little bit of yogurt, which I like the whole milk French style yogurt. I choose the artisan yogurts. I don't buy the manufactured American Yoplait yogurts. They're terrible for you. They're mainly sugar. You can tell that your European yogurts have a lot less sugar just by tasting them. They don't taste as sweet. They taste a little bit more sour. And so that's okay to have. Greek yogurt, full fat Greek yogurt is great to have. Occasionally a little scoop with some berries. Oh, it makes a great dessert. And I'm not gonna eat sugar. Now, that doesn't mean that I won't ever eat sugar. If I decide to make something with sugar, I will eat that, but I won't eat anything that's been processed with sugar. And I won't eat artificial sweeteners. So no stevia, no monk fruit, no, just artificial sugars are just not good. Every time a new artificial sugar comes out, like, it's like a year or two down the road, and we find out why that artificial sugar is not good for you. They increase ghrelin in your body, which is the hormone that signals hunger. So because it increases ghrelin, studies have shown that people that eat artificial sweeteners actually eat 20 to 30% more calories on average than people who don't. So it does something to your hormones and your endocrine system. And being a woman, especially at 47, right? My hormones matter, because this is the age where the hormone play is so vital, right? And if it's messing with my ghrelin, what other damage is it doing to other hormones in my body that I'm just not aware of because it hasn't been studied? So I'm gonna stay away from artificial sweeteners. Not good. I won't eat butter substitutes, margarine, things like that. You don't want to put those into your body. They're terrible. Not only is margarine closer to plastic than butter, that stuff stays in your arterial lining forever. Like, let me tell you something. Trans fats are the worst kinds of fats you could possibly eat. It's because they have hydrogenated oils. And let me tell you something about hydrogenated oils. Hydrogenated oils are an oil that has the water pushed back into it, essentially making it more difficult for your body to break it down. You might as well just have butter, okay? Don't eat the margarines, don't eat the fake butters. Just go ahead and if you're gonna have butter, have real butter. Just make sure that that real butter is grass-fed butter and that the animal was, you know, treated humanely, and that, because that's gonna mean that butter has more vitamins, more nutrients, more omega-3s in it, all of that. It's gonna be a richer, creamier, darker yellow butter, okay? Kerrygold is one of the only butters I know that is like that. Like, it's 100% grass-fed, it's from Ireland, it's an amazing butter. So I won't use any like egg substitutes or anything like that unless I'm baking. And then my egg substitute is flaxseed meal mixed with a tablespoon of water. So you can do a tablespoon of flaxseed meal with a tablespoon of water, and that's actually an egg substitute for like breads and muffins and things like that. That I will do. I will not do the chemically created. Basically, if it's if it's created like Frankenstein in a lab, don't eat it, okay. Only eat things that your grandmother or your great-great-grandmother would have recognized as food, and I can guarantee you she would have never recognized margarine as food. So I'm gonna make a ton of stews and stir fries and vegetable bakes. I'm gonna do those. So I try to eat like 4 to 6 small veggie meals all throughout the day. I usually have also as snacks, I have nuts, I have popcorn, I have fruit. I do occasionally allow myself to have like a little bit of a cracker or something like that. And usually those are sourdough. I buy a specialty sourdough cracker. But mainly I'm doing a veggie soup or stew or curry, and that contains usually a bean, a green leafy vegetable of some kind, a squash or a starch of some kind, so a sweet potato or a squash, and then other vegetables that are in season. So I try to make sure that all of my soups, stews, and curries all contain a very broad vegetable profile. Fruit as snacks. So I like berries, but citrus fruits are okay. Any fruit is okay because fruit contains fiber, which is gonna help it not hit your pancreas so hard so you can digest that sugar and it won't lead to spikes in insulin like processed foods would. Okay, so there you have it. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna be doing my 40 to 45 minute workouts in the morning. I'm going to make my eating window between 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. I'm going to limit my caffeine intake in the form of coffee, and I'm going to try to be getting my caffeine from mainly green tea, and I'm going to be drinking my water as usual, and I'm going to be eating at least most of my meals. I'm going to be eating about 6 meals a day, and they're going to be nutrient dense vegetable food. And I'm going to lead you through a day of what I eat in a day, and that'll be a following video, so be looking out for that because it'll be so much fun. I'm going to carry you through my day and just do a video log of all the food that I eat and what I do all day. And I am ready for the reset. So I hope you are. Leave me a comment in the comment box if you are resetting your diet, if you're excited about a reset for the new year, and I will see you next time on Glow Up with Shelly.